Очень рады сегодня, у вас есть такая возможность. Пользуясь случаем, скажу два слова, да, надеюсь, что эта встреча будет не только интересной, но и полезной и вдохновит вас на использование потенциала Калининградской области, потому что это юридически ответственное заявление. Калининградская область – это лучший по налоговым условиям в Российской Федерации регион для IT-компаний. Вот. Если интересно, да, эта информация есть в открытом доступе. Вот. И, конечно, наши региональные власти вам готовы помочь и поддержать вас, если у вас будут идеи, которые вы готовы будете воплотить в стартап. Вот. Ну и, чтобы, да, одно маленькое техническое замечание, Тим здесь в личном качестве, то есть он просит не задавать ему вопросы про компанию IT Software, про ее планы и так далее. Он здесь не может говорить от лица компании. Все, что угодно про игровую индустрию, про рынок и так далее можете спрашивать, про планы компании спрашивать не надо. Вот. Ну а дальше Тим будет говорить сам за себя. Я приглашаю его на сцену. Прошу приветствовать Тима Willits.
Brilliant. That's when my Russian stops. Yes, my name is Tim Willits. Hold on, let me get my deck started. There we go. Thank you all for having me. It is always a pleasure to come to universities, talk to students and local game developers. It's very nice to be here in Kaliningrad. It's a very charming city. I want to thank a few folks that helped set this up. Special thanks to the Baltic Federation IT department and Greta Linkiva for helping me and inviting me here. Thanks to the interpreters. I understand that some of you have little headpieces and someone is interpreting for me. That's very cool. I've never had that happen before. So I feel very important. Thank you. So let me grab my clicker here and we'll get started. So tonight I want to talk about game development, how id Software creates games. So I understand that a lot of you may be interested in eventually working in the video game industry, or you're local to Kaliningrad, and you're here to learn what we do. So the title of my talk is Game Design and Production. It'll be high level. Hopefully I will answer some questions. Hopefully it'll be interesting. Afterwards, if you have questions, I can answer them. And I believe we have some donuts, which is very, very American to have donuts at the end of a talk. So hopefully you'll stay for some donuts. Let me get started. So how many of you here tonight want to enter the video game industry? How many of you think that would be? A couple. Oh, there we go. Yes. Okay, that's a good number. That's much better. That makes me feel good. I thought maybe I'd have like 10 people just to talk tonight. So it's very nice to have a full room of people to talk with. So, like I said, my name is Tim Willits. I am the studio director at id Software. No, it's not ID, it's id Software. Yes. Thank you. So I've been at id Software since 1996. That's a long time in the video game industry. I started out at id Software as a level designer. I worked on the Ultimate Doom, worked on Quake 1, Quake 2, Quake 3, all the Quakes. We have some new games that we are releasing soon. I will talk about those. So to start out with, let me talk about our big games. So we have, of course, Quake Champions, which is out right now. We've announced Doom Eternal at QuakeCon this year. It was very well received. And of course, Rage 2. So we have leading franchises. We have big titles. And those titles are built on the pillars of giants. You know, the legacy of id Software goes back all the way to 1992 with Wolfenstein 3D, you know, all the way up to today with Rage 2, Doom Eternal, and of course, Quake Champions. You know, and we at id Software have been on the cutting edge of technology and innovation and game design for over 25 years. So for me, there's 3 words that I like to think what it defines id Software. What is the spirit of id Software? And these 3 words are on our website. There's 3 words that is the soul of the company. Of course, innovation, immersion, and intensity. So innovation. As I've said, we've been around for a long time, and every game that we have made, we've innovated. We created the first-person shooter. You know, we feel that that innovation, not only with technology, but game design is the path for us. And of course, immersion. You know, immersion is how close you are to the games. So we create first-person shooters because we believe that first-person shooters get you, the player, closer to the action. You know, we all love playing little third-person games, and you little guys run around the screen, and he's on fire, like, oh, he's on fire. But when you are running around the screen, and you are on fire, and you're holding a big weapon, you know, that is more immersion. And of course, you know, we pioneered virtual reality as well. And then of course, intensity. Everything that we do is very intense. If you played any of our games, you know that they are very intense. So innovation, immersion, and intensity, though, that is the soul and spirit of id Software. You know, and we believe that if we make games that we want to play, there's a good chance that other people will want to play them as well. So that is the spirit and the soul of what we do. We make games that we like to play. But, you know, making games is really hard. I'm glad Google Translate works. Yes, making games is really tough. So what I want to do is, you know, talk about some things, some components. I want to simplify game design to some simple components that I can talk about that you can use if you are starting a new project, or starting a new game design, or starting a new company, or even a project in school. So I have come up with some components of game design. Of course, the idea, and I'll talk about each of these in more depth. The idea, the core, the center of the game. Iteration, this is really important, this is very important. All of that is encapsulated, is surrounded by production. Then of course you have the team. The greatest asset to any video game is the team, and you all, the consumers, all the fans, all the people that buy our games, that will in the future buy your games. So this is, you know, for me, and there are more things than this, but really this really sums up game design and creating video games. So first, let's start with the idea. So coming up with an idea for a video game is way more difficult than people think. And many game designers start developing a game before they really, truly understand the idea at its simplest level. You know, lots of people may have ideas for video games, but you know, they're not focused ideas. And your idea, you know, needs to be as simple and as direct and as easy to remember, because that idea is what I like to call the X. You know, some people may call this the elevator pitch. An elevator pitch is if you only have 30 seconds from the ground floor to the top floor and you have to explain your video game to somebody, you need to do it as quickly as possible. The X is the elevator pitch as quickly as possible. And the X then becomes the filter or the lens for which you will It's the filter or the lens for which you will look through when you make all your game design decisions. So every decision that you make, you need to look through the idea, you look through the X. So let me give you some examples, and then it'll be easier to understand. So Rage. Rage is a game that came out a few years ago. We're working on Rage 2. I'll talk about Rage 2 in a few moments. But Rage, the X. Be the ultimate road warrior to rule the wasteland. So if you played the original Rage and you read that, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. It's a game, it's a post-apocalyptic game. It's wasteland, all these bad guys, and you became the ultimate road warrior. You upgraded your gear, you had the best vehicles, you had the coolest weapons, and you ruled the wasteland to defeat the authority. So that was kind of the lens, that was the idea that we used to make our game design decisions. So, Doom 2016, this X was a little longer than the other one, but our game director, Marty Stratford, was really good at making sure that this message was always up on the screen. We had team meetings. It was something that he always read to the team to reinforce exactly what the X is. And if you played Doom, you will know this is true. Be the Doom Slayer. Use devastating weapons to fight with incredible and unpredictable demons. Combine your weapons, abilities, and skill to knock down, slash, stomp, crush, and kill the enemy in ways you never imagined. So if you play Doom, you're like, that's it. That's exactly what that game is. And that was that lens. Like the Doom Slayer is the first couple words in the X. Well, that was the image on the box. Use incredible demons. All the key art for Doom had demons. And of course, you played the game, it was all about the glory kills. Another good example for Quake Champions, a game that's out right now, pure FPS. Probably a little short. But that was, we probably could have made pure FPS and some other cool stuff. But if you played Quake Champions, you're like, yeah, that's it. So that is the idea. That is the core. And again, if there's a couple bits of advice that I give you tonight, and if you want to make a video game, make sure you figure out exactly what your idea is before you start. It's really important. So you have your idea. Now you need to, what I like to call, have pillars. And pillars support your idea. Pillars are the things that, they're like the groupings, they're like the major categories of your game. So for Quake Champions, I have some examples here. The first pillar, of course, is New Quake. This weekend I was in Berlin, Germany, and I gave a talk on the spirit of the game, the soul of the game, and how we focus on capturing what people love about our past franchises when we develop our new games. So for us, New Quake was focus on the things that people loved about Quake, and then develop new and modern features around that. Some of those new and modern features, of course, was Champions. It's called Quake Champions. Very critical part of the game, and then a pro game for all. So, like I said, it was very important for us to focus on exactly what people loved about Quake. The speed, the intensity, movement as offense and defense, situational weapons. The arsenal of Quake weapons is the greatest arsenal for any game. Any situation that you find yourself in, there's a Quake weapon to fix the situation. If you need long-range combat, railgun. You're up close, shotgun, you need some area of damage effect, you got a rocket launcher. So that's the purity of Quake. And then Champions. Like I said, Champions was a major new component of the Quake game. What we did is we created champions that have different fighting styles, different active abilities that allow you, the player, to pick someone that you like, and then you can use that champion that kind of conforms to your playstyle. And then, of course, a pro game for all. This is a picture from QuakeCon. We wanted to make Quake Champions more accessible. We have more modern progression systems. We have modern challenges. We want to boost up our esports. We have events that we've run at QuakeCon. We have events that we run at DreamHack. Some of the best Quake players in the world actually come from Russia. So very important for us to have a pro game for all. So let me give you another example. Rage 2. Rage 2 coming out early next year. This is the game that I'm spending a lot of time on right now. Our 3 pillars, of course, crazier than Rage. Remember I said the X for Rage 1 was be the ultimate road warrior to rule the wasteland. For us, we want to capture all the things that people loved about the first game, but take it to a new level. Id Software first-person combat, mixed with an insane open world. Like I said, more crazy than Rage. The spirit of the original game is captured in Rage 2, but it's done everything. We have more guns, more vehicles, a larger wasteland. We have lush biomes. We've taken what everyone loves about the first game and then improved on that. We're actually working with a team called Avalanche Studios out in Sweden. This is new for us for id Software. We are actually using Avalanche Studios technology because it's a true open world technology that allows us to do all the things that we did in Rage 1 with no level loads, seamless gameplay. Again, all the things about Rage people loved, but more crazy. And of course, id Software, first-person action, totally true to the original game. We call it like id Software modern first-person action. It's much faster. It's much more intense. If you have seen the Doom Eternal presentation at QuakeCon, you saw how fast and intense the combat was. If you watched the Rage 2 presentation, or you were in Germany for Gamescom, you had a chance to play it, you saw the speed and the intensity that we are now bringing to our games. And of course, the insane open world. Like I said, we are working with Avalanche Studios. They have brought an incredible open world technology that allows us to create that id Software first-person action, in a true open world. So there's some examples of what an idea is, what an X is. So this is the educational part of my presentation. I'll have some philosophy about game design, I'll have some selling our games, and I'll have some educational part. This is the first educational part, where I'm talking to those of you that may eventually want to start your own video game company, or you have an idea that you want to sell to someone else. So, selling your idea is difficult. I've talked about that. It's a theme that you will hear throughout this talk. Making games is hard, but it is a heck of a lot of fun. Why is your game special? Why is it better than other games? And then make a presentation. So, even internally at id Software, when we start out making a new game, or we talk to other teams in the organization, if the game developer or the person making the game cannot clearly explain what the 1, 2, or 3 things that are so cool about their new game, if they can't clearly explain that, then they haven't quite figured out why this game is special. There are thousands of games that are on the market now. There are games in every platform. The gaming industry is exploding, and there are lots of titles, and there's lots of noise. There's lots to get through to get your game noticed. So you need to clearly define exactly what your game is, that's your X, then clearly say, this is what makes my game special. This is what makes my game unique. This is what makes my game better than someone else's game. And if you can't clearly state that, you need to keep working on it. Again, even at Bethesda, when we talk about any new game, our boss says, what are the 3 things that make this better than everything else? And it's really important that you can clearly define those. And then make a presentation. So, I've seen lots of video game presentations, and I've helped young people pitch ideas. And like I said, the X and your three things. But when you make a presentation, PowerPoint is your friend. You really need to get good at PowerPoint. And the reason that PowerPoint is so great for really any presentation is because you can't put a lot of words in it. So if you can clearly present your ideas in something as simple as PowerPoint, then you fully understand your ideas. And I know that id Software is all about new technology, and here I am up on stage telling you to learn PowerPoint. But it really is important because you can only use a few words. Remember what I said about the elevator pitch. Remember what I said about the X. It's important that you clearly define why your game is special with as few words as possible and make a flashy presentation. Everyone loves flashy presentations, especially if you put a cute animal picture in it. That helps too. Small games are best for new teams. A unique idea can be very successful. So many times I have met with new teams or small groups of people, and they have these game ideas that have been in their heads their whole lives, and they are huge game ideas, very expansive, but they're too big, and the scope is too large. And even professional game designers like ourselves, we start out with a game idea that's this big, and by the time we ship, the game is this big. And I'll talk about iteration and how that happens. But if you have a simple idea and you have a new team, that's the best way to start. Because if you go through the process of making a game from start to finish, even if it's small, even if it's simple, if you can finish it as a team, that team becomes so valuable. And I'll talk more about finishing things later on in the presentation. But a small, simple idea that's finished, that's fun, is far better than an idea that's too big, the scope is too large, and your team will never get it done. And really, small, simple games can be breakout successes. The industry is changing, and how you consumers engage with our games and the information that you have and the education that you have. A game developer can make a small game that's simple that changes the world. I mean, look at Angry Birds. Someone basically came up to someone else and said, I got this idea. You take these birds and you knock stuff over. And they made it, and everyone knows how awesome it is. So simple ideas really can be huge now. Understand your team. I will talk more about this in the team section. But do you need more people? Do you need to adjust your idea? Understand your team. Again, so many times I have young teams that I speak with that want to make an epic RPG, but all they know how to do is make first-person shooters. Or they make puzzle games and they want to make the next Doom game. Again, even I have fallen into this trap. When I started working on Rage way back in the day, I thought, well, we'll just add racing. How hard can racing be? Okay, it's way harder to make a racing game than anyone thinks. So focus on what you know, focus on the team. And then, do you need to adjust your idea? Do you need more people? Lots of times, small teams, it's a few friends, they really think that one person can do multiple jobs, or, this guy can program and do art. Get more people. There's lots of educational programs. There's lots of people that want to be in the industry. When I asked in this audience alone, who wants to work in the video game industry, a lot of you raised your hand. And I know that you just weren't all being polite. So there are lots of people. Make a demo, and funding is key. This is so important, even for modern teams that have already had success. Even at Bethesda, when teams are pitching ideas, you have to make a demo or a prototype. Yes, I said you need a cool PowerPoint presentation. Yes, I said keep your team focused. but you need to make a demo because there are so many small teams that are making games now. And they come to us with demos, they come to us with mods from other games. You know, there are lots of great platforms for which you can make your demo. That is key because, you know, the proof is in the testing. The proof is in playing the game. I cannot stress how important it is to have a demo because no one will fund your game and it'll be hard to find people to work with you if you don't have a demo. Contract work for a company or game can be a good start. Yes, you have a group of friends, you're all very smart, you're all educated. You want to go and take over the world with your brand new game idea. That's great, but big games always need help as well. You know, even us in software, you know, we work with outside contractors, we work with outside teams to help us, you know, finish things, to help us work on parts of our games. And this is a great way for new teams to get started. You don't have to have everyone, you don't have to have all the employees for all the disciplines. You just have to have the right employees to get the job done. And it's much easier to be a small team that can do contract work for a big game, and you'll get the experience, you get the knowledge, you'll make the contacts, and then you'll be able to eventually have enough reputation and experience and hopefully money to make your own game. So if you can't get a game off the ground, start by helping another game first. And then build, Steam, consoles, mobile, embedded platforms, build to the platforms you know. Like I said earlier, there are lots of opportunities, lots of platforms that players play games on. Whether it's mobile or console, or like when I say embedded platforms, remember the Facebook games that everyone loved for a while? You know, those are platforms where you can kind of get your start. So if you are very familiar with mobile, make a mobile game first. If you're more familiar with, you know, the Xbox Marketplace or PSN, you know, make one of those games first. Steam has many great opportunities and many great things about it that allow young developers to you know, make these small games. And if that's what you know, that's where you should go. Again, I've seen so many times young game designers that take on too much and they just burn themselves out. So the idea is very important. I've talked a lot about the idea. Hold on. The idea is very important. So the core is you know, the center of your game. The core is all of the fun things that people actually do in your game. The core is the experience. The core is, you know, the spirit and soul of the game. The core is what people most enjoy. If you think about your favorite game and you think about why you enjoy playing it, you can probably define what the core of the game is. So for us, you know, to push players forward and to keep them engaged, we like to come up with this game design loop, okay? Starting with teach. So the game design loop basically is teach, play, challenge, and reward. So let me go back to teach. So every video game is basically just a collection of challenges that you complete, hopefully that build up to a crescendo that has an ultimate reward. You win the game. So during the course of play, you need to remember the teach, play, challenge, and reward loop. So let me give you an example. A new weapon. You know, let's say like the chainsaw. You know, you find the chainsaw, and the first thing that we do as game developers is we teach the players about something new. Okay, they found the chainsaw in Doom. Now we have to give them an opportunity to learn about this. So it's an easy challenge. It's not really a challenge. It's an easy thing. You can kill some bad guys with it. and you get to play with it. You get to have fun with it. You learn about the chainsaw. You learn about this new challenge, and then you have a fun time. You play around with it. You get better with it, and then we challenge you. Where maybe in Doom you have to use a chainsaw to kill a boss, or you have to use a chainsaw to get a glory kill to drop more health, or you need to use a chainsaw to cut something open. That's your challenge. That's the difficult part, once you learn how to use it. And then we reward you after that challenge, and we give you something. So now this is a very simple concept. This is a very simple idea. And when you look at it, you're like, well, obviously that's how video games are. But there are so many games that do this that don't do well. Some games that give you a challenge and never teach you. Or games that are so hard that they never let you actually play. Or games where you have this incredibly difficult challenge that you work really for a long time. It's very difficult, it's very hard, and then the reward is no good. Again, the king of this loop, probably the best game ever for the Teach, Play, Challenge reward was the Half-Life games. Too bad they'll probably never make a third. But Valve did a really good job. And we've tried to remember that this loop is critical to the core of the experience. So again, when you're thinking about your game idea, when you're thinking about what you want to make, and you're thinking about the progression and how the game flows and how the game plays, write these 4 words down on the board. And every time you come up with a mission idea, or every time you come up with a challenge, ask yourself, is this how it works? And if you can't say yes, then you need to adjust it. That's very, very important as well. All right, so we have the idea, we have the core, iteration. So again, like I said, remember I said the idea is one of the most important things to take away from my talk. The next important thing is most of your game ideas are not good. Yes. So I like to say that, even me myself, every 10 game ideas that I come up with, 9 of them are bad. So I need to keep coming up with ideas. I need to keep testing those ideas, and I do that through iteration. So let me explain how the kind of classic production flow happens, and then where most people iterate. Okay? So you start with pre-production. And pre-production is where you figure out your game, you draw your pictures, you get your idea and your scope, and then you make the game. This is production. This is the bulk of the time you spend developing your video game in production. You make the levels, and you make the characters, and you program. And then you get to play and iterate. Okay? So you see how small that is compared to production and pre-production? And then you polish the game, and then you release it. So I have listened to game ideas, not huge ideas for big games, but just simple ideas within a game. It could be a puzzle, it could be a gameplay mechanic. I have listened, or like a new game mode. I've listened to thousands of ideas, and these ideas are well thought out. And people have spent a lot of time thinking about their ideas. And they surely know exactly if it's going to be fun or if it's not going to be fun. But I will be honest with you, if you cannot play it, you do not know if it's fun. Like, for instance, for Quick Champions, we were coming up, we were working on some new game modes. Slipgate is a new game mode for Quick Champions that is available on the PTS server right now. So if you play Quick Champions, thank you. And if you're on the PTS, the public test server, you can play Slipgate. So Slipgate went through a number of different iterations. And when we sat down to come up with this game mode, we were all sure that it was going to be super fun and exciting, it was going to be great. And we had thought about everything. when people respawn, how long it takes to get the objectives, all those types of things. And then we put that in, and it was no fun. And we literally had to start over again because we didn't really know. We didn't know that it was fun until way over there. And that's usually how game developers develop their game. They come up with their idea, they do the production, they iterate, and then they polish, and then they find the fun. They find the fun way here. And if you discover that your idea is not actually fun, you wasted all that time getting there. So what we like to do, and we've worked really hard on this, is move iteration and move prototyping earlier into production. So pre-production, that takes the same amount of time. And then you have production, and it takes really the same amount of time. You got to make the levels, you have to make your models. But what we try to do at id Software is play and iterate sooner. Because, once you release, once you release, your game's out. And modern games now, we can improve and we can do post-launch, we can support. But it's really, really, really important that you figure out where your fun is in your game earlier. And this mistake is made over and over and over again by huge teams with years of experience. They wait to the very end before they iterate. Because they just believe that all their ideas are good. But remember, for every 10 ideas that I come up with, and probably most of you, 9 of them are bad. But you don't know they're bad unless you try them. And you need to try them as early as possible in the production of your game before it's too late to make changes. So now, once we ship games, we are, Bethesda and id Software, we are more committed to the long life cycle of our titles. And we believe that gaming is a lifestyle. You, our fans, give us hours of your lives. You want a game that is supported, a game that is improved upon, a game that has updates. So for us, we are pushing that release and post-launch support out as far as we can so we can capture our fans and give them a community where they know that they are supported and the game is supported. But again, it goes back to finding the fun faster. Okay, so we have our idea, we've iterated, we've got our core loop. Now we have production. Production it's a lot of fun, but it's the most boring part of game development. But it's really where you do all the hard work. So let me talk about production. Now I'm back to my educational portion of this presentation. Production. Create a game your team can make. Like I said earlier, so many times I've seen small teams, new teams, even big teams, even I've done this, think that we can make anything. But we need to focus on the games that we as a team can make. If you make first-person shooters, make first-person shooters. If you play first-person shooters, make first-person shooters. If you play RPGs, don't make racing games. That's actually the worst. It is. Find a production method that works. So I imagine that there are a number of you that are taking production courses here, and you are learning, all the kind of fancy new production methods like waterfall, Scrum, Agile. Sometimes we use chaos. That's Quake Champions was a little chaos. So waterfall, of course, is very simple. You have all your ideas, and then one finishes before the next one. It's this kind of waterfall approach. It's very, very classic way to make games. Scrum, you have these sprints, and then you plan out these blocks, and you have a Scrum leader, and you have different columns, and you move your production tasks across. Agile is a small group of team members that are focused on a particular section of the game, and they have the ability to shift and move and come up with their own tasks. And of course, chaos is just making random stuff. So lots of times I see young producers that come out of university and they believe that Scrum is the way to go, or they believe that everybody needs to be agile, or like 10 years ago when Valve talked about cabals and then all these teams were like, we need to make cabals. It really, the production method is not successful if it isn't right for your team. You know, even at id Software, between the different projects that we work on, we have slightly different production methods because it works differently for different groups. And I've seen it time and time again where new producers insist that their way of production, whether it be Scrum or Agile or whatever, is the best and only way, and they cram it in. And because the team it's not the way the team works, it's not how the team operates, it's not how the team likes to communicate, it will fail. So again, it's not the production method that makes the game. It's the people in which method works best for them. And you have to try them. You know, that's why I joke about chaos, but you have to try it. Sometimes, you know, you start with Scrum and it turns to Agile, and, you know, and then for some people on the team, they just need waterfall. They just need one asset and another asset. So just try the different production methods and find one that works for you. Managing a team. This goes out to all you managers, and this really, actually, this section here, you can apply this to any field. It does not have to be video games. Structure the team around the needs of the game. Again, I've said this time and time now. You know, focus on the needs of the game and figure out the team members that are best suited for that. Most people can only manage 7 direct reports. Okay, this is not just for video games. This is in any industry. If you are a manager, if you are a boss, and you have more than 7 people that report to you, that's too many people. It's too difficult to manage effectively more than 7 people unless you are Superman or Superwoman. So really, I cannot stress that if you are making something creative, 7 people is about all the people that you can manage. Working together in person is still the best. So a lot of times I receive questions about, you know, do you work at home? Or you make video games? Do you work remotely? Are there groups of your team that are around the world? You know, yes, I do work with teams that are around the world, but the most effective management style, the most effective way to create a video game is to have all your people together. You know, yes, and I'll talk about the wonders of cloud storage and the new, you know, a team meeting software that's really made it easier for us. But I cannot stress enough, the human interaction of making something creative is best done in person. Like when I travel to the teams that I work with, we are most effective when we are together, we are working face to face. And organization charts are important. Org charts. So a lot of times, especially in video game design, you know, everybody wants to be creative, everyone wants to have a say in the game, and so a team does not start out with a clear org chart. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. So this is how most video games, most video games that are made like our video games, are structured. You have one executive producer or game director. Now, if you are working on a game, you can have partners, and you can have people that have important influence in the game. But it's really important to have one person that has the final say. You know, don't try to make a game by committee. You know, that means that you all kind of vote on the best idea. You know, one person has to call the shots at the end of the day. So that's your executive producer and your game director. So then, for us, we have, the next level. For id Software, this is roughly kind of how we make it. I kind of made this up, but it's basically similar to what we have. Where you have your art pillar, and your design pillar, and your technology pillar. And as you can see, we keep it to around 7 people. And then from there, things really break out. Where you can see, like the producers have people that report to them. The game director has their lead designer or level designers and mission designers, and of course, our CTO, which is Chief Technical Officer, that he's in charge of technology. So this is roughly, and I made it circular so it fit on one screen, but really this kind of drops down from the top. But what's important to remember here is make sure you have one person that's in charge. Make sure you don't have too many people that report up to a manager, because then they're not effective. And make sure you clearly put everyone where they're supposed to be. Anyone on the team should be able to open the org chart, find their name, and know exactly who they report to. A lot of times, the game director, the creative director, there's many people that kind of almost report to them, but it's important, especially if you're a new team, to ensure that everyone knows exactly who they report to. Who gives them their raises. That's really all they really want to know. That's an org chart. Software tools, knowing what to use. So this is also important, especially with new teams. You have a choice when you develop a game or you develop software, whether it's for entertainment or at school. You can either use someone else's technology and build upon it, or you can make your own technology. And I cannot tell you how many times I've seen this. You have these engineers that think that they can just do it themselves better from scratch. And that usually doesn't work. Trust me, I've seen it. Unless you got like John Carmack, but you really, it's, especially if you're new, you need to be cautious of engineers that think they can make it better from scratch. It takes much longer than anyone realizes to make something from scratch. It's much more difficult making something from scratch. And if something happens to that employee or that team of employees, they go work somewhere else, or they want to go in a different direction, it's very difficult to course correct. So I'm not saying that yes, you should always use middleware, or yes, you should always license another engine, but I'm saying you should be very cautious if you don't. And if you are a new team, this is probably the best way to start. And there's a lot of great technologies out there, and those technologies are cheap. And then you can focus on creating a great game instead of stressing about the technology. I always make the comment, id Software, we always develop technology while we develop the game. We've been doing that for years, but it's so hard. And it's like filming a movie while you invent the camera. It's very difficult. So just be careful if you want to make your own technology. Content creation software. So I get this question all the time, and this is really just for people that are curious about what we use. If you're new, if you're young and you just entered school and you want to learn video game design, learn the basics first. Learn all the Adobe products. Learn PowerPoint. Learn all the Adobe products, and then add id Software. So we use Maya, 3D Coat, Modo, Substance Painter, and we don't really use 3D Max as much anymore. But even but it's good to start with. But these are actually the tools we use. Maya, of course, for animation. Modo we use for level design. 3D Code is new. It's a newer program. It's really cool. And then Substance Painter allows us to paint on the models now. So that's what we use at id Software. We have, for our level design, we use a cross between our own engine and our own level design software suite, and then we use Modo and some other 3D packages as well. So people always ask me, what do you use at id Software? We use half is our stuff, and the other half is some other software. Scripting and AI, again, we get this question a lot. What do you use at id Software to script your levels? This, for us, is all our own scripting language. Scripting, actually, learning to script in games and learning to script in tools that are available now is a great way to see if you want to become a computer programmer. If you don't want to take a computer science class, if you're not sure if that's the right direction for you, scripting, game level scripting, AI scripting, event scripting, scripting tools that you can download from other games is a great way for young people to see if they want to become computer programmers. So scripting also is something that we do all internally ourselves. Cloud-based file storage and remote meetings. Yes, it has become so much easier nowadays in the last 5 years or so to develop games using Google Drive and OneDrive and Dropbox. And now we finally have video meeting software that works. I cannot tell you how bad video meeting software was in the old days. I sound like the old guy now. But we finally have technology that allows us to work together. For Quake Champions, I worked with a team in St. Petersburg. Every morning we would link up on the video conference. It was clear, they could understand me even though I talked too fast. And we were able to always store our assets up on the cloud, and we're able to pull those down. It would have been very difficult for us to make Quake Champions working with the team on the other side of the planet if this software wasn't available. So make sure you get familiar with whatever cloud-based software that you want to use. Okay, so we have our idea, we have our core, we've talked about production, we've talked about iteration. Now let me talk about the team, some things to remember about team members, and some tips for you all when you interview. The most important thing is to remember the team is the greatest asset. Your team is the most valuable thing you have in your company. Treasure it. Treasure your best employees. Treat them fairly. Treat them with respect, and they will give you everything, and you will have a great game. But remember, your employees are so important. Your coworkers are so important. I say that you can have one prima donna on a team, but you can't have all prima donnas. It's really important that you remember your team is your greatest asset. And leverage the strengths of the team. I won't say this again because I've said it 3 times already. Make the game that your team understands. Don't forget that. And find the superheroes. I like to say find the ninjas. A ninja or a superhero is somebody that's given a mission and with no outside support completes that mission. Like a ninja assassin. So on every development team, there are ninjas and superheroes. It's the same thing. It's more politically correct to say superheroes. So there are people that you can give a task to and forget about it, and they'll go for it and they'll make it. Todd Howard is the game director at Bethesda GameWorks, And he of course made Skyrim, the greatest RPG of all time. And he says that there was literally a guy that was in charge of the dragons. And if you played Skyrim, you know how important dragons are. Finding that one person that can take an idea and that they can run with it is so critical. And it also goes back to what I said about production. Scrum and Agile, finding the production method that works. Sometimes ninjas and superheroes can't fit within that production method. Give them the room and let them become superheroes. Support a culture of risk-taking because failures make future things so much better. I cannot stress this enough, and this goes beyond just video games. If people are afraid of failure, they will fall into decision paralysis, where they will be afraid to make decisions. And if you are afraid to make a decision, you will never succeed. If you cannot, this is an American reference here, if you cannot swing the baseball, you cannot hit a home run. And sometimes you swing as hard as you can and you miss. And some people are so afraid of failure because their boss just comes down on them. Or they're afraid of getting fired, or they're afraid of not getting a raise. And the best work from them will never come out because they take the safe way. We say it's a CYA, it's cover your ass. Let them make mistakes. Again, I have made plenty of mistakes in my day, some bigger than others, but I've learned from those mistakes. The studio has learned from our mistakes. Its software is so much better today than we've ever had because we've learned from our mistakes. So this is so important. Okay, here we go. Finding a job at a video game company. This section here is for all of you that are interviewing. And again, I've interviewed countless people. So all this comes from experience. Completed work. So I cannot tell you how many times brilliant people have come in to interview at id Software, and they have this portfolio of great work and none of it is finished. I have seen level designers with dozens of levels, and they always say, I started these levels but I never really finished it, and I started working on this one but I didn't finish it and worked on this other one. Or these modelers come in and they have these really cool models and they've started these characters that they've created, but they never really finished them. They're like, I never really finished it. Or we have these writers that come in that are very smart, but they've never finished anything. And I can tell you, I never hire those people. I never hire the guy with 20 unfinished levels. I hire the guy with one finished level that's good. Because finishing something in a creative environment of video game creation is so hard. They say a painting is never finished, which is true. A story is never finished, which is true. But at some time, you've got to put the paintbrushes down. At some time, you have to close the book. At some time, you have to finish what you started. Because if you can't finish it, it's useless to us. So I cannot stress enough, when you go to an interview, and they say, what have you made? Show them all your finished work. Don't show them a bunch of unfinished stuff. They'll kill your interview. Interviewing tips. These are always fun. So at id Software, we do phone interviews first. Make sure, and this is pretty standard. I'm not sure about Russian companies, but in America, this is what we do. We call them on the phone first to make sure they're not crazy. And we can talk with them. At this point, it's important that you clearly present yourself. You only have about 30 minutes. Speak clearly, speak slowly. Don't get too excited that you're on a phone interview with id Software. And then once you complete your phone interview, then we bring you on site. For programmers, level designers, even artists really, we usually do tests, whether it's a programming test or an art test, and we give you some packet of stuff and you complete a test. It's mind-boggling how many people just take forever to complete this test or don't actually complete it. And then they'll call and they'll say, well, are you gonna continue the interview? And we're like, no, you've never completed the test. Some people think that it's beneath them to do a test, that they have enough experience where they don't need a test, or they have a portfolio where they don't need a test. But it's important for us to see that you can take direction clearly, that you can complete something that's to our specifications. So tests are very important. Take these seriously and complete them on time. And use the STAR format to answer questions. The STAR is an acronym. And an acronym is one letter for each word. So, and these are the English versions, so you'll have to come up with your own Russian version of this. So STAR is situation, task, action, results. So situation, can't talk tonight. Tasks, actions, results. So this is a format for you to answer all of your questions. So when you are in an interview, and this has nothing to do with video game design. This is any interview. Think about the situation, the task, the action, and the result. Let me give you an example. So let's say that you are interviewing for an IT position. You fixed printers. Okay. So you may receive a question that says something like, tell us a time when you fixed something or you repaired something. So you think STAR, situation. So the first one is, I was in charge of the printers at the university and they broke and I had to fix them. That's what happened. Okay? The task is, I have to fix the printers in 4 hours. The action is, I called up the printer repairman and he showed up in 30 minutes, and the result is the printers were fixed. So it's really simple. I mean, when you think about it, you would say, well, obviously I answer questions like that. But so many people come into our interviews and they can't answer a simple question. Tell us a time when you worked with a difficult employee. Tell us a time when you were given a challenge that you felt that you would not have time to complete. And they just ramble, or they can't answer the question because they are not using this type of format to answer the question. What happened? What did you do? What are the actions? And then what are the results? So if you just keep that in the back of your head, it'll help with any interview, I promise. Come prepared. Yeah, bring something to write with. This may sound funny, but you should always come to an interview with a notepad and a pen, even if you never open it. It just looks like that you care. It just looks like that you are more prepared. Because so many people show up with nothing. And I'm like, are you going to write anything down? No, I got it. So, yes, even if you never open it, go to the store, buy a notebook, bring it, don't write in it, return it when you're done. Trust me, it'll help. I promise this will help. Know the company and ask questions. Yes, so many times we've had people that have come into id Software and they know nothing about the company. They know nothing about our games. And it's just like, just Google us. It's not that hard. And just ask questions. Because it shows that you're interested. Even if you don't care what the answer is, just say, where is this company going to be in 5 years? You don't care. Just ask the question, and you sound interested. So many people come in with no notebook, and I say, do you have any questions for us? And they're like, no. I'm like, okay, you don't care. So, and be yourself. Yes, be